tag games. Oh yeah, baby, one of the most beloved and fun subgenres in the history of fighting games, full of incredibly iconic franchises like Marvel vs. Capcom, and also some pretty f***ing good hidden gems like Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. And nowadays we are clearly living a resurgence of the tag fighting game genre with so many tag games coming up: 2XKO, Invincible vs. Marvel Talk-On, also Nan Impact that came out on 2025. And even though all of these games have their individual identity, there is one mechanic that defines them, which is active tag, present in all of them. And in this video we are going to discuss how active tag became the modern answer to the tag fighting game genre and how exactly did we get here. But to truly understand why active tag is so dominant at the moment, we have to go back to the classics and understand what are the foundations of the tag fighting game mechanics. And I would argue that the tag fighting game genre as we know it today is built upon the shoulders of three giant mechanics, which are neutral tag, assist, and delayed hyper combos, also known as DHC. And obviously all of these mechanics are present in some of the most iconic tag fighting games of all time, like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and 3. And they are quite simple to understand. Assists are essentially the way in which your teammates help you in tag fighting games. You press a button and then one of your teammates that you're not actively playing is gonna do a move, and maybe it's gonna help you to zone out your opponent, play neutral, extend your pressure, depends on the game, but that is essentially how assists work. It's a way for your point character that you're playing to actively connect with your teammates that can help you in battle. Then you also have neutral tag, which is a mechanic that is also quite simple, and it allows you to change the character that you're actively playing on a tag fighting game into one of your teammates, and then your point character gets to be moved into actually being an assist. Pretty simple, right? And then we have delayed hyper combos, or DHC, and you can essentially understand this mechanic as team supers, because you can do a combo with your point character that you're actively playing and you finish it with a super, and then you have the ability to tag your teammates in so that you can do sequences of level 1 supers, for example, to see very cool animations one into the other and do a ton of damage. And this is arguably one of the most fun and high moments in tag fighting games, at least visually speaking. And that is kind of a summary of how tag fighting games have been built over the years. But if this formula was so successful and is considered by many as one of the most fun gameplay loops that you can experience in any fighting game, why did it get changed? The developers actually believed that they needed to transform the gameplay design of tag fighting games at their core, or did they do it just to sell the new thing? And if we look at the history of tag fighting games as a subgenre, I can show you that developers were really trying to create mechanics that were very similar to what active tag is today, but much earlier. And people don't really understand them as active tag necessarily, but it was very obvious that developers not only wanted to create new mechanics for the sake of new things and selling their new games, but they probably really thought that you needed higher levels of freedom in the gameplay loop of tag fighting games than just being able to neutral tag, call assist, and DHC. And for that, we have to talk about two games from the late 90s, which are Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and also Tekken Tag Tournament 1. And even if you think of these games maybe as less revolutionary for the tag fighting games of genre in comparison to something like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, they actually had mechanics that were much closer to active tag. And let's actually start with Duo Team Attack in MVC1. This is a mechanic that you do when you have 2 bars a meter, and it basically allows you to put your 2 characters on the screen and control them simultaneously while you have infinite super meter. And this is of course very clearly one of the strongest and crazy tag fighting game mechanics of all time. Even though it doesn't behave exactly like active tag, it feels like one of the first concepts in the history of the subgenre that looks similar to it.
Oh my god. Oh! And
obviously, like I said earlier, we also have to talk about Tekken Tag Tournament 1. And it is very interesting when you think about it, because I know that a lot of people don't really think of Tekken Tag Tournament as a series when they are trying to argue or talk about tag fighting games. But if you think about it, Tekken Tag Tournament 1 has one of the most similar tag mechanics to active tag in an old fighting game, because in this game you can actually tag your teammate in mid-combo. You know, you can be doing a combo with whatever character that you're playing as a point, and then you tag and you continue or extend the combo with the other character. And this is arguably one of the most similar tag fighting game mechanics from older games to actually the modern active tag. And then finally, we could also talk about some honorable mentions like the strike system from KOF 99 to KOF 2001 and Neo Geo Battle Coliseum, which actually has kind of like an active tag mid combo mechanic, like if it was Tekken Tag Tournament 1. And with all of these examples, we can clearly see that fighting game developers were actually trying to move into the active tag principles and philosophy of gameplay design from much earlier stages, but maybe they were limited to the software and hardware of the time, even though they clearly wanted to give you more freedom as a player and absolute control over your full team, which is something that later we are getting with games like 2XKO, for example, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Skullgirls, Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, and more. But the thing is, was all of this approach really necessary? Because if we think about it, there's obviously an almost cult level love for games like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and 3 and the classic tag gameplay formula that they have. So if that's the case, why are fighting game developers over the last decade actively moving away from that? And I truly think that for us to comprehend all of this, we have to put ourselves in the shoes of the developers. And most of the time, they probably think of fighting games on a very different way than us as a community or the FGC, in the sense that they probably don't think, you know, like old games were good, new games are bad, or the opposite, and they are more so thinking about innovation, you know, especially in the Japanese fighting game industry, innovation is a basic value. So I think that they actually love games also like MVC 2 and 3, but they are actively trying to push the genre forward and thinking, okay, we love these games, but they have these limitations and restrictions because of the way we design them, and we want to move beyond that. And that's probably the approach that they have when they think of mechanics and new gameplay philosophies like what active tag brings to the table.
The punch loop.
My second favorite combo.
Yo, the mix was OD.
I got hit.
You foolish fool. You could have spent the meter and you did not.
Really? And it worked.
You saved it for that? You saved it for that?
And that was essentially how the tag fighting game genre moved all the way from the 90s to today, where we are surrounded by tag fighting games that have active tag. It is actually easier to point out which fighting game did not have active tag on release, because almost all of them, Skullgirls, MBCI, right, Power Rangers, also the newer ones upcoming, 2XKO, Marvel Talk-On, they all have active tag on release. And there is only one tag fighting game over the last decade that has not gotten an active tag fighting game mechanic, which is Dragon Ball FighterZ. And FighterZ is essentially kind of like a retake on the Ultimate Marvel 3 formula, and that is one of the reasons why so many people from different communities were playing that game that were either MVC fans or just very casual players that really like the Dragon Ball IP. And as you can see, it is very evident that active tag is here to stay. So are games like MVC 2 and 3 or Dragon Ball FighterZ that imitated that classic tag formula done? Are we going to be playing active tag fighting games for the next 20 years? And the reason why I say that sounds so dramatic, right, is because I know that a lot of people are thinking like that. But to me, the real question is, does the active tag formula that is being pushed at the moment in the tag fighting game subgenre actually replace the classic Marvel vs. Capcom style of gameplay? And I don't think so. I actually believe that they are for completely different audiences if you make the argument for it. And a lot of people, of course, can enjoy both of the styles of tag fighting gameplay, which I'm gonna do personally, but I know that also there is a group of people that want to play the OG formula and they don't want to get involved with the new active tag era. But those are actually the good news, that we are living in a new era of tag fighting games, specifically in the active tag era of the subgenre. And the thing is, I don't believe that active tag is better than the classic formula. It's just different. It is not necessarily like we can call it an evolution of the subgenre. It is more like a new path or road that developers are pushing into so that both new and older audiences can expect and experience something novel about tag fighting games in the next few years. And with that, hopefully the answer to the debate actually appears, which is, in my opinion, that no, the classic tag formula, the classic MBC style of gameplay is not dead. It's just taking a rest, you know, recharging energies, and that's completely fine. And hopefully in the meantime we can enjoy and have fun with the new active tag era of fighting game mechanics. A big thank you to everybody that watched the video until this point. If you can like and subscribe to support the channel, it means a ton, and I do hope that you can have fun with all the active tag fighting games that are coming over the next few years. And don't worry, because the classic Marvel vs. Capcom formula is not dead, it's just going on vacation for a while. See you soon.